Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. We are back with a brand new season of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Now, I was not with y'all on this journey last season because, I was just getting into it as I get into it. My YouTube wasn't really up and running, but we are here for the very first season for me and the second season for them, episode 1. If you are new here, then welcome. I give lighthearted reviews with a little bit of laughter and a little bit of shade. If you are back for a second or third time or from another video, or you are a part of the opinionated family, first of all, thank you all for subscribing. Please, for anyone else, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel if you get anything out of the content. Now, child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. So, y'all, okay, now listen, come close to whatever device you're listening on. Okay, so the episode opens up with a prequel of what happened the day of Jen's arrest, right? So Jen gets a phone call. Hello? Yeah, I'm at the beauty bar lab. Then all of a sudden, she's like, can you undo this? Can you turn this off? Can you take this mic off? Honey, she starts panicking, right? So then she gets off the bus and she tells Heather, she's like, I gotta go. I got some bad news and I really need to go. So Heather was like, yeah, I can just tell that your energy is down. 12 minutes later, honey, we see the copter overhead and her car being pulled over, right? So then the police pull up to the bus like, we're looking for Jen Shah. Baby. So Lisa's like, what? They're looking for Jen. So, the cops are looking around and whatnot. And Lisa's like, how did they know she was here at Beauty Bar Lab? Somebody must have told them. Honey, they're the feds, okay? They know more about you than you know about yourself. They're like Santa Claus. They see you when you're sleeping. They know when you're awake. They know when you've been bad or good. So be good for goodness sake. Like they know, honey. They're already on the case, child. So they're showing the house that's being searched and whatnot. Let me tell you something. The cinematography of it all, okay? When I was watching this, I love me some true crime. I love me some Fatal Attraction. I love the ID channel. Honey, everything killer. And I love those types of things. Criminal, killer, I'm all for it. Child, the way they opened up this season, it was giving the zhuzh that needed to be given. Y'all hear me? So anyway, they show the house being searched and whatnot. And then Whitney reads the article about Jen being charged with money laundering. Her and Stu were charged for fraud, right? So we see the reporters outside of the courthouse. Then Jen emerges, braids and a faux fur and a black mask, kind of giving real American gangster vibes. Do y'all hear me? I'm like, girl, not the poetic justice braids with the black mask with the black faux fur. Okay, girl. So they show all the other women around the table talking about it, right? So Heather is like, I don't want to be indicted. I don't want to be indicted or involved. You hear that, Erica, honey? It's not just Sutton. Child, they all want to make sure that they're okay. So Whitney said, if we don't disclose everything we know, then we're in danger. Danger! Shout out to Mystical. So the producers ask, what do you know that you aren't saying right now? So they flash to all of the ladies, right? So then they ask, do you know who tipped off the feds that day? And child, then they start showing all their facial expressions. Let me tell you something. We should have took these producers over to the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills so they could start asking the hard questions so we can get our Suttons back, okay? And then maybe Erica wouldn't have looked at her and went, or what? Or what? Because child, y'all know I ain't gonna never let that go. Baby. And so their producers are asking all the questions, right? And then we fade to black. Oh, this is gonna be a good season. Do y'all hear me? So we haven't even really gotten into it as we get into it. Because, baby, this is just showing us what is to come. So when the episode first opens up, we see that it's 2 months earlier. So the episode starts as Jen's new chalet. Honey, probably another rented facade, okay? And Mirlo, who is her second assistant, they're cooking up some food, trying to get some things, some snacks together because Lisa is going to stop by. So Lisa stops by and she's like, I love the house. So then Jen does this confessional and she goes, all good things must come to an end, just like our lease did. Girl, not you trying to spill your own tea. Okay, girl. Not you trying to get in front of the story. Erica, take notes. So she said, we found the next best thing, which is Shah Chalet 2.0. So then she gives Lisa a tour, right? She's like, this is the living room. Oh, I love it. This is the bedroom. I love this. This is my closet. I love this. This is the jail cell that I will be in. I love this. Oh my God. Orange is the new black. Child is a fool. Lisa. Okay. You are too old to have a 3-word vocabulary. Girl, goodbye. Girl, what in the lackluster vocabulary is going on? So she shows her the closet and whatnot. And she said, when the movers came, they had never seen so many shoes, purses, and clothes in their entire life. Honey, I would not be bragging about that. Moving forward. Jen said, people question my relationship with Lisa, but they're just jealous they don't have a good relationship like we do. No, honey, Lisa is afraid of you're crazy. Okay, that's what this is. She's afraid because you're a nut. So they sit down to talk. And Jen is telling Lisa how the last 6 months have been really hard. Well, child, I hate to see the next 6 months. So her and Sharif almost got a divorce, honey. He's trying to pull a Erica, honey, trying to get the hell out of Dodge because you're now the Tom in the relationship. So pretty soon I know you're going to be rolling off cliffs and falling off edges and whatever else Erica has Tom doing. Whatever other kind of acrobatics she has Tom doing, okay? She said, she thought they had like a normal fight, but then the next day she got a call from the divorce attorney. She said, it was the same thing that I had been doing, really. So then they flashed back to all of her shenanigans, okay, from last season. And she said, he told me he was hurting too. And, he didn't know how to help me. Girl, he was embarrassed. Your behavior last season was straight embarrassing. Point blank and the period. And there is no way around that. I said what I said and I ain't changing it. So Lisa said, so what was the catalyst? She's like, my dad died. He didn't get to come. All right, Jen. Okay. You're going to have to take some accountability for your actions. I am so sorry that your father passed. My condolences. But at the same time, you be doing stuff and acting and then thinking later. Girl, please. She's like, now we're in couples counseling. Jen and Sharif were so cute back in the day. Side note, she looks like a totally different person. I'm like, who is this in the picture and who is this right here in front of me? Child, oh my goodness. And she was like, so I basically told him you ain't going nowhere. Child, till death do us part for real. Moving forward. Jen said, I'm at peace now and I need to be at a place like that with my friends. So Lisa said, I don't want my relationship with Jen to mess up my 10-year relationship with Meredith. Well, honey, it's looking like, okay? Because towards the end of the episode, Meredith was not with the foolishness. Do y'all hear me? She said, what Jen did to Meredith is no different than what Heather and Whitney did to me. No, it's totally different. They are not the same. One of these things is not like the other. Lisa, you tried it. She was like, they created lies about my character. So then they show the flashback, right? Lisa said Meredith can be around whoever, but it's the hypocrisy of it all. So Lisa's like, I just don't want y'all to kill the person in the middle. Here go Jen. Girl, I'll go to jail for you. I haven't gone to jail yet. Well, honey, give the feds 2 months. Yet is the operative word. You have not gone to jail yet. Honey, be careful what you say. Bravo production is shady AF. In the next scene, Heather stops by to visit Meredith straight off the slopes. I'm like, girl, what in the disgustingness? She also has a new home. Okay, so Meredith is showing her around the home. Let me tell y'all something. The views on these Salt Lake City homes, they're sick. I mean, just the beautiful snow on the mountain caps. Like, it's just everything. Every time I see the view from their houses, I'm just like, oh my gosh, honey, I need an Airbnb stat. So her and Heather started talking about her relationship with Seth. And she said her and Seth are doing good. He's going to be able to be there 50% of the time and then away 50% of the time. Let me tell you something. That is my ideal situation. 50% home, 50% gone. Honey, I like my space. I don't want to be with somebody 24 hours a day. So Heather starts talking about her daughter choosing college, right? So then she goes, for Mormons, it was BYU or bust, basically. Side note. They showed a flashback photo of Heather as well. Why do these women look so drastically different? Honey, it seems like the agent like cottage cheese, honey, and I like Heather, but they just look so totally different. So she said, she wants her daughter to be a good time girl and wear that badge with honor. Okay, girl, so you want your daughter to be a thought pocket. Thought pocket? Girl, why would you want her? I mean, I understand the concept of you wanting your daughter to have a good time in college. Live it up, okay? If it's up, then it's stuck. I understand that. But at the same time, don't say you want your daughter to be a good time girl, because those are the girls that get ran up and through, okay? We don't need that kind of scandal. Moving forward. In the next scene, Whitney's stepson stopped by and Whitney got on her little bikini top and his sons could be her man because they're all the same age. And I'm like, oh, honey, it's giving very much hot for teacher vibes. Like, what is what is happening? This is a mess. Look, I know they're secretly checking Whitney out. They gotta be. You can't tell me nothing different. Stacy's mom has got it going on. That's all I could think of when I saw Whitney and these stepsons. I'm like, oh, child, this is a mess. She said, it's weird because my oldest stepson is coming over with people that I went to high school with. Honey, that sounds creepy. Okay. So then all of the kids, Whitney is included, they take a shot ski. You know the little thing that's like a ski where you can put your shot glasses and you take the little shot like they do on Watch What Happens Live. So they take a little shot ski and they show their ages, 29, 34, 23. That is so weird to me. So they start talking about her beauty brand, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm ready to get off my knees and make my own money. Oh, okay. Oh, Whitney, it's always a stripper pole or a BJ. It's something sexual involved when it comes to Whitney. Moving forward. So they start taking all these shots, right? She said the fact that her stepson see her taking shots and hustling, it creates a role model for them. Girl, what? I think you meant they see balance because you work hard and play hard. But you taking shots and then going to try to do a PowerPoint presentation is definitely not role model / hashtag goals. Girl, goodbye. So now the liquor is liquoring. Okay. So Whitney gets this bright idea to carry plates, forks, and a lit birthday cake out to the patio. I'm like, oh my God. Child, she gets right to the door and drops it. So instead of her being like, I dropped the cake, you guys, so no more cake. Not her drunk behind. She gets down on the floor and proceeds to pick it up and piece it back together. Then she picks it up, relights the candles, and drops it again. I said, this is a fool. Makes it outside, drops it again. Whitney, honey, loose as a goose, don't get me started. Full of that liquor when I step off in the party. Whitney was litty. Do y'all hear me? So I'm like, okay, Whitney, don't even worry about the cake, child, because anybody gonna eat that. The fact that she tried to salvage that floor cake, that was sending me. I rewound that about 2 or 3 times. Now, y'all know how I like to do, honey. When I find something in an episode that gets me, honey, I got to rewind it and rewind it and rewind. In the next scene, we catch up with Mary. Hey, girl, honey, because they tried to ice you out last season. Mary said, her husband got stuck in Florida during the pandemic. Honey, it probably was on purpose. She was like, and then I was stuck here with my son for the first 6 months, and he's a teenager, so she's not talking to me. So I started talking to myself and my mannequins, and, they're like my friends. Now, Mary. Now, Mary, honey, you've been talking to the mannequin since before COVID, okay? Well, we all talk to ourselves every now and again, because I know I'll be like, girl, and then I'll be like, what? Child, sometimes I talk to myself, because I got to get into it as I get into it before I bring you these reviews. So I understand that, but those mannequins, okay, you definitely were talking to them before the panorama. Moving forward, child, Mary is doing a podcast. I was like, oh, Lord, another sleepy time podcast. It's going to be called Talking Facts with Mary Cosby. She said, let's pray. Lord God, in the name of Jesus. So the man is getting into the prayers. He's getting into it, right? So he's getting into the prayer of it all. And he's like, God, and I love you. And he doing the whole Baptist First Gibraltar Rock on the side of the road type praying, right? So here go, Mary. Let me show you something. Okay, just stop. Okay, relax. I said, not Mary telling this man he don't pray good enough. Child, you cannot write this stuff. Do y'all hear me? So then she starts to pray. Honey, now this prayer wasn't good enough for her. That is so embarrassing. She said, see, Sean? Okay, that's all you need. It's nice and relaxing. Baby, Sean was praying 2 Baptist church for her, honey. So they started talking about the youth, right? She said, her son is a little lost right now, but she wants him to find his way. So then she asked the guy, Sean, she said, what did you do when you were a teenager? He was like, sing and dance. Child, no, the real, what did you do when you were a teenager? So she was like, did you do drugs? He said, yeah, I had a past. I smoked marijuana. She said, yeah, you smoked weed? It's called weed. You don't have to say marijuana. I'm like, let me find out. Mary Jane, I love you just the same. Mary Jane. Mary Cosby, let me find out. Let me find out. So the producer said, so what were you doing when you were smoking? She was like, it was so long ago. I can't remember what I was doing when I smoked a blunt. She's like, all I remember is that I had a very distinct smell. I smell everything. Well, child, Jen definitely knows you smell everything. Moving forward, Mary said, I don't feel like I'm a part of the world. I feel like I was never liked. And I realized when I came to God that that's why I'm so driven. She's like, I don't really trust human beings. So then Mary starts preaching, child. I thought she was going to get up and start shouting, honey. Somebody passed the collection plate. In the next scene, we get introduced to Jenny. And I really liked Jenny. Okay. Jenny is my girl. I liked her down to earthness. I just like it. She was giving the judge that needs to be given. Now, Jenny, honey, you kind of did your husband a little wrong. Because me personally, I thought her husband was a good looking guy when I saw the photos. Now, today's date, that's a different story. So we meet Jenny. And Lisa goes over to visit her. Honey, Lisa making her rounds, going to everybody's house, okay? They've been friends for over 10 years as well, and their sons are BFFs. So they're telling Lisa that they went skiing that day, and so Jen's daughter goes, I didn't go. I think school's more important. So Lisa said, yeah, you're all about the straight A's. She's like, yeah, that's why they call us Asian and not Bijan. Child, I am done now. I said, what in the world? And then she just like a mama. So she tells us, when she came here, she was 7, but her dad lowered her age to 5 so she could go to kindergarten. And I'm like, why would your daddy want you to go to kindergarten instead of just getting into it as you get into it? But honey, I guess that's how it went, child. I knew people that were changing birth certificates so that their children could be going to school at a certain time. Because, if you're born after like September 3rd, then you have to go to school the following year. Y'all remember that from the 80s? Comment down below if you know what I'm talking about. But child, don't be putting your daddy out there like that. Honey, a mess. So her husband is telling the story about how the boats are actually hiding people underneath, but it looks like they're fishing, right? So she tells this interesting story about how they were captured by the Thai pirates and put in a Thai refugee camp. And then they got sponsored by a Christian church, and that's how they ended up in the LBC with so much drama in the LBC. Shout out to Snoop Dogg. And she said, she was Christian, then she converted to a Catholic for her husband. She tells us how they were set up by her sister-in-law, right, when she was doing makeup on a photo shoot. She was like, he was cute from the waist down, but from like the neck up, he was okay. Oh my God. Oh, child. Let me tell you something. Huey was a handsome man on those pictures. I liked the way he looked. Maybe it was just me. And she was telling us, he's a chiropractor and they've been together for 14 years. All right, Jen, we will check in with you a little later. Moving forward. In the next scene, Jen's Aunt Nani, she shows up, the one that Mary said smelled like hospital. So as soon as she walks through the door, here's Jen. Do you have on your bionic legs? Jen, how else is she going to make it in the room, honey? And why are you asking this woman about her leg? Child, okay, I'm not even finna get into it. Child, I'm not gonna get into it as I get into it. I don't have time. So Jen is like, my Aunt Nani, she looks good and she doesn't smell like hospital. She smells expensive, not expensive, but expensive, like Louis V perfume. Jen, stop making up words, okay? Okay, and cut the cultural appropriation already. Thank you. Moving forward. So then Sharif emerges. Hey, sir, nice to see you. He comes in to greet her mom and her aunt, and they're waiting on her son to get there because his birthday is coming up and he's turning 27. Well, Jen had to do the calculations of it all because she cannot remember when her son was born. I was like, oh my God. So then he finally shows up and now all the family is there. So Jen was like, her and Sharif's relationship is like the backbone of their family. So when they fell apart, everybody fell apart. And they were like, what is happening? If y'all two can't make it, then who can? Before things get started, her mom gives a speech and then they all get together and they get ready to eat. And I really like this scene. This scene was a nice change from Jen yelling every 5 minutes. She really does care a lot about her family. It's her outside behavior that's a fool. Do y'all hear me? In the next scene, Mary is waiting in an igloo, honey, complaining and talking to herself per usual. So Heather shows up, then the other ladies show up. Side note, I want to go to whatever restaurant this is just to eat in this igloo. Child, y'all know how I am about germs, and honey, y'all know I am about the germs of it all, especially during COVID right now. And this way I can be secluded. And it was just fancy like, and I loved it. I was like, oh, I want to go to that little igloo. And I read the name of the place on the menu and it was called the Wine Dive. So I'm gonna go to Salt Lake City, look for the Wine Dive and see if I can get in one of these igloos. And honey, it was snowing and whatnot. I was like, oh my gosh, that was just such a pretty scene to me. So anywho, that's just a side note. So they all come in, they sit down at the table and everything, they're greeting each other. Oh, hi, beautiful. Hi, gorgeous. The only two people that were not in attendance were Jen and Lisa, right? For the obvious reasons. So Heather and her hefty appetite, they're like, let me get 16 sliders, macaroni and cheese, a fried risotto ball, a Caesar salad, sliders, truffle fries, hot wings, and a side of apple pie. Yes, and a Diet Coke. I said, I know that's right. Let me tell you something. Heather is my kind of girl. Let's eat, honey. Bon appetit. I know that's right. She said, I took over ordering because if I let them do it, she would be splitting a side salad and she is not here for it. Honey, y'all, Heather is me at a new restaurant. Let me tell you something. I'm trying everything on the menu and I'm researching the menu before I actually get to the restaurant. I know that's right, honey. If I let these skinny heifers starve me. So Meredith's energy is a little bit down and Whitney notices it, right? So she shared with the ladies that her dad passed away. And of course, they were giving their condolences and what. I cannot imagine that. My heart really does go out to anyone that has lost a parent. And not to just switch gears, but their food came out. And y'all, I can go eat with these ladies of Salt Lake City anytime. And y'all know why? Because number one, they prayed over the food and whatnot. Number two, there was hand sanitizer on the table, honey, and y'all know how I am. And in other franchises, I never see them get up to wash their hands or anything. Not a, a little keychain of hand sanitizer or nothing. But with this group of ladies, honey, they had the hand sanitizer front and center. I'm like, now these are a group of women that I can get with, okay? Moving forward, they started talking about Heather's friendship with Lisa and Jen, right? She said Jen was calling her a racist, and then they showed the post that Jen made. But if y'all remember back on the Instagram, I think it was a few months ago, Mary also said the same thing about Heather. So, I mean, is it a situation of where there's smoke, there's fire? Or what are y'all just going around throwing out racists all really willy-nilly? Like, I need to know. So they're talking about that. And this is my thing. I want to ask y'all, do y'all believe Jen when she says that Heather is racist? I want to know what's your take on it. So anywho, Heather is like, she always acts like we're fine. She fills me up so much with friendship juice. I'm drunk on it. Girl, what? So Mary in her pearls and her confessional, she's like, I don't want none of Jen's friendship juice. I don't even know what that is. She said that kind of stuff, starts getting me all riled up because it's weird. She said, you're going to be friends with someone that treats you like crap? That's not juice. That's a choice. Preach, Sister Cosby. You better preach. Honey, y'all better pass the collection plate. Sister Cosby is preaching. I know that's right, girl. Jen treats a lot of people like crap. I mean, so I don't know, child. I don't know. The season is just starting. I'm not sure whose side I'm on yet, but we're going to get into it as we get into it. Heather was a good friend to Jen, from what I remember from last season. I don't think Jennifer knows how to be a friend. I don't think she knows. Honey, notice how I called her Jennifer. So Mary said, I was racist first. Y'all remember that? So they do a flashback to that. So Meredith said, well, Jen was reposting homophobic negative comments about Brooks on social media. Then she liked to comment about him being a twink. Okay. I was a little bit out of the loop, so I had to look up the word twink. Okay. She said Brooks has never spoken about his sexuality, so no one else should either. Now, I'm not going to get into that, okay, because that's their business, child. I am not going to be doing all of that. But what I will say is Brooks started it with his shenanigans, okay? I could see her vagina and all that kind of stuff. Last season, Brooks was insufferable, okay? And he's a grown man. So if you get into it as you get into it, I mean, it might be some repercussions to it. That's all I'm saying. But also, in the same breath, Jen needs to worry about her own sons and the effects of her being under siege. Honey, leave people's kids alone. Child, worry about your own family. Get your own stuff together. Meredith wants her to apologize to her family. Oh, child. Heather goes, she's talking about all of us except Lisa. Why is that? Because they're friends, Heather. Girl, keep up. Whitney said, well, how would Lisa feel if Jen went after Jack and Henry and you became Jen's biggest supporter? She would feel like crap. And y'all know she would start arguing and fussing and getting all up in y'all faces and pointing those little pointy nails. Y'all know how Jen gonna do. I bet she wouldn't be going around saying, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love that you talked about Jack and Henry. I love this. Well, we know she wouldn't be saying that. So then in her confessional, Meredith goes, do I think, they should be friends with Jen? She probably needs a friend right now. Baby, Meredith, tell us what you know, honey, because it's sounding like you know something that we don't know. So is Lisa going to be Jen's Lisa Rinna, blindly following Jen? Honey, the Lisas are sticking together. In the next scene, Meredith and her puffy shoulders statement top and her family, they're getting ready for Lisa to arrive, right, and her family. They're doing a Shabbat dinner. So she's like, even though she's hurt me and even though I'm hurt about Lisa's friendship with Jen, I really need my friend right now. So Lisa and her family arrive and Meredith starts to tell her about how she broke down over her father, right? So Lisa said, she used to do a lot with Meredith, but since becoming closer with Jen, things have kind of like shifted. So they go to have a seat on the couch to talk, right? So Meredith said, I had an interesting lunch yesterday. And so Lisa was like, really? Do tell. With who? She's like, well, with Mary, Whitney, and Heather. So Lisa just looking. She was like, we talked a little bit about you. I love the fact that you kept it real, Meredith. And Heather just came out and said that she owed you an apology, unprompted by me. So Lisa said, I just don't want my character assassinated. I don't want the foolishness, basically. So Lisa is like, well, what about Jen and you? So Meredith said, if I have to explain to her how I'm feeling, then I don't think she understands friendship. Meredith let it be known she is not for the shenanigans with Jen, okay? If she cusses at her, puts her finger in her face, if she does any of that, she won't ever see her again. Okay, Meredith, honey, I hear a little bass in your voice, okay? Because you know they like to, oh wow, yes, us to death. So the fact that she got a little bass in her voice, honey, that means she means business. Moving forward. Lisa said, well, what if she apologizes? Will the two of you be good? Meredith is like, she needs to apologize to my family. Child, these housewives love for you to direct an apology to the family, okay? Please make a PR statement. Child, this is a mess. So then Lisa starts making excuses for Jen. Honey, give it a rest. Meredith said, I hear you, but that's not an excuse to mistreat other people. Lisa is like, she feels like she's been mistreated too. How was she mistreated? When? Because all I heard her doing was yelling. Oh, child, maybe that's just me. Lisa is trying to compare how her and Heather are at odds to what is happening with Meredith and Jen. Meredith is like, if she said anything about Jack Barlow the same way she did Brooke Marks, would you be her friend? It's the full government names for me. Baby, the statement names are everything, honey. The children are a brand. Do you hear me? So Lisa is like, well, Brooke said, he saw her vagina, so she's in defense mode. Well, he probably did see a vagina, honey. She was wearing a dress, and maybe she was humiliated and maybe she wasn't. I mean, Brooks was saying all kinds of things, honey. He should have just stayed in his lane. And why were you even present is the thing, honey. And I mean, all of y'all fussing and fighting. I feel like she should not say anything about someone else's child because those kind of things could cause blurred lines and you could really be getting into it as you get into it. But at the same time, Brooks is an adult. He's 21 years old. But if you're going to be friends with Jen and you're trying to stay neutral, I don't think that's going to work, Lisa. You might have to hold Jen accountable for the things that she said because this is your friend of 10 years and, her family is off limits. And I feel like Meredith would definitely go to bat for you. Now, I'm not sure because this is just season 2, so these heifers flip-flop back and forth, but we shall see. Meredith said, I've had plenty of conversations with Lisa about Jen's behavior on social media. And she's like, well, I didn't see it. And I told her that I would send her the screenshot. And she said, I don't want to see the screenshot. Basically, it's like she's trying to protect herself. Let me tell you something. Lisa wants to stay in the dark. Honey, if you don't know nothing, you can't stand up for nothing. Honey, I can't be in your corner because I don't know about that. I can't be in your corner because I haven't heard that. So she's playing it the way it should be played. So then they get up because they're getting absolutely nowhere. And they go in and they do the blessing and they dedicate the Shabbat blessing to Meredith's father. And I thought that was a very sweet way to end the episode. And honey, that was the end of the episode. But the previews for this season, oh my goodness. Child, this is the resurrection of the Housewives era. Let me tell you something, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Get in here, perform, and don't start no mess, honey, because these ladies are really giving what needs to be gave. Y'all comment down below and tell me exactly how you felt about this episode. Let me know what you feel about the whole Meredith, Lisa, Jen situation. I mean, do you think Heather is a racist? Do you feel like Mary talks to those mannequins even before the panorama? Please let me know. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.